Hello, good evening, and welcome to a new episode of Arguably the Reading Quest. I am Nishant. So, in this video, I'm going to introduce you to another episode of the World Poetry series, in which I'll be talking about a special form of poetry, one of the most enduring forms of poetry, that is sonnet in details. So, the book I'm going to introduce to you is The Penguin Book of the Sonnet. The Penguin Book of the Sonnet. It is edited by Phyllis Levin. Penguin Book of the Sonnet, edited by Phyllis Levin. This is published at Penguin and it contains 600 sonnets. So, this is a majestic work. And it writes the background, the backdrop is that an anthology that celebrates that most vigorous form of literary art. So, in this video, I'll first introduce you technically what a sonnet is. I'll read some excerpt verbatim from, the panegyric written by Phyllis Levin in praise of sonnet. What is her take on sonnet? I will, read some of my favorite sonnets, and then I'll, suggest some 7 to 8 to 10 sonnets for you to start with. So please watch the video till end. I hope, you'll enjoy it. Maza aayega ye wale video mein. So I'll introduce you to what a sonnet is. So, poets have been writing sonnets in English for more than 450 years, one of the oldest and most enduring poetic form. The sonnet originated in Italy in 13th century. The Italian poet Petrarch, who lived from 1304 to 1374, established the definitive form of sonnet along with the idea of sonnet sequence, a series of linked sonnet on a particular theme, usually love. It started with love usually. And during the Renaissance, a great revival of interest in the sonnet appeared through many European countries. Uh, then, from the mid 17th through the mid 18th century, the sonnet fell into a period of disuse, only to be revived again at the end of the 18th century, a revival that continues unabated to the present. Now, technically, what a sonnet is, it's a 14-line poem, usually in iambic pentameter. Iambic pentameters means a line of some 10 syllable, basically alternating between unstressed and stressed. Iambic pentameter, 10 syllables, stressed, unstressed, stressed, unstressed, with a set rhyme scheme. There are two principal types defined by the rhyme scheme. One is the English or the Shakespearean sonnet, and other is the Italian or the Petrarchan sonnet. The English sonnet is composed of 3 quatrains. Quatrains means a group of 4 lines. As couplet is a group of 2 lines, quatrain is a group of 4 lines. And concluding couplets, 2 lines. The most common rhyme scheme being, I hope you understand rhyme scheme, A B A B C D C D E F E F G G. A B A B C D C D E F E F G G. I'll show it to you. The Italian sonnet is divided into an octave, 8 line, and a sestet, means 6 lines. The rhyme scheme of the octave is almost always A B B A A B B A, A B B A A B B A, A B B A A B B A. So the rhyme scheme of the sestet can vary. Many poets, however, have not allowed themselves to be restricted by rigid definition of the sonnets and have used variation in rhyme and meter while retaining the essential sonnet form. So I hope this is what sonnet mean in technical details. Now, what Phyllis Levin has to say on sonnet. So there's a huge introduction at the beginning of this book of some 20-25 pages. I'll just read a paragraph, panegyric on sonnet. The sonnet is a monument of phrase, a field of play, a chamber of sudden change. In its limited space, it has lodged from the start the awakening of a rational being to an overwhelming force in the self or the world. Its legacy of 14 lines offer myriad challenges and opportunities ranging from the technical to the spiritual. As a highly focused form, The sonnet attracts contradictory artistic impulses. In choosing and succumbing to the form, the poet agrees to follow the rules of the sonnet, but that willing surrender releases creative energy. The early sonnets record the unceasing conflict between the law of reason and the law of love. The need to solve a problem that cannot be resolved by an act of will, yet finds its fulfillment, if not its solution, only in the poem. Thematically and structurally, this tension plays itself out in the relationship between a fixed formal pattern and the endless flow of feeling. The poet experiences the illusions of control and the illusion of freedom, and from the meeting of those illusions creates the reality of the poem. What makes the sonnet so compelling for both reader and writer? Ask Phyllis Levin a rhetorical question. Not only it is one of the only poetic forms with a predetermined length and specific though flexible set of possibilities for arranging patterns of meaning and sound, but it is also a blueprint for building a structure that remains open to the unknown. So, when it comes to poetry, people are often surprised to discover the extraordinary range of differences in the treatment of a particular form. But people here, the sonnets are inscribed in its form as an instruction manual for its own creation and interpretation. It is a portrait of mind in action, a mini guide to the progress of an emotion that tells us when to anticipate an irreversible turn. I'll not go into much details. I'll introduce you to some of the sonnets. I'll read it out for you. I'll recite some of the sonnets and then I will suggest some 8 to 10 sonnets for you to read. And I cannot start with anything other than the sonnet number 18 by Shakespeare. Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Thou art more lovely and more temperate. Rough winds do shake the darling buds of May, and summer lease hath all too short a date. So day, May, temperate, date, you see it is rhyming. A B A B A B A B. Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Thou art more lovely and more temperate. Rough winds do shade the darling buds of May, and summer lease hath all too short a date. Sometimes too hot the eye of heaven shines, and often his gold complexion dimed, and every fair from fair sometime declines, by chance or nature's changing course untrimed. But thy eternal summer shall not fade, nor lose possession of that fair thou owest, nor shall death brag, thou wanderest in his shade, when in eternal lines to time thou grewest. Now the couplet, जिसको हम उर्दू में शेर भी बोलते हैं. Now the couplet at the end. So long as men can breathe or I can see, so long lives thee and this gives life to thee. So you see and thee are again rhyming. Listen to it once again. So long as men can breathe or I can see, so long lives this and this gives life to thee. And then a beautiful sonnet by William Drummond. William Drummond was from 1585 to 1649. He was a Scottish poet and historian. The first line of sonnet is very well, used as an epigrammatic statement now in various political and social circles. I know that all beneath the moon decays. I hope all of you must have heard this line. So the tragic death of his fiancée on the eve of their wedding inspired, many of his sonnet. I know that all beneath the moon decays, and what by mortals in the world is brought in time's great periods shall return to naught. That fairest states have fatal nights and days. I know how all the muses heavenly lays with toil of sprite which are so dearly bought, and idle sounds of few or none are sought, and that not lighter is than airy praise. I know frail beauty like the purple flower, to which one morn both birth and death affords. That love a jarring is of mind's accords, where sense and will in vessel reason's power. So you see, flower, power, afford, accord is rhyming. And then it ends with a couplet. Know what I list, this all cannot me move, but that, O me, I must write and love, move in love. Then a beautiful sonnet by William Wordsworth. He wrote close to 500, over 500 sonnets on the greatest romantic poets. Nuns fret not at their convent's narrow room, and hermits are contented with their cells, and student with their pensive citadels. Maids at the wheel, the weaver at his loom, sit blithe and happy, bees that soar for bloom, high as the highest peak of furnace fells, will murmur by the hour in foxglove bells. In truth, the prison into which we doom ourselves no prison is, and hence for me, in sundry moods, so as pastime to bound within the sonnet's scanty plot of ground, pleased if some souls, for such their needs must be, who have felt the weight of too much liberty, should find brief solace there as I have found. Nuns fret not at their convent's narrow room, and hermits are contented with their cells, and student with their pensive citadels. Very beautiful sonnet. And then again, one sonnet. It's a beauteous evening, calm and free. So, lot of metaphors of serenity you can find here, again by William Wordsworth. It's a beauteous evening, calm and free. The holy time is quiet as none. You see this, the holy time is quiet as none is a beautiful, beautiful extended metaphor. Quiet as none. Breathless with adoration, the broad sun is sinking down in its tranquility. The gentleness of heavy broods over the sea. Listen, the mighty being is awake, and doth with his eternal motion make a sound like thunder everlastingly. Dear child, dear girl, that walkest with me here, if thou appear untouched by solemn thought, thy nature is not therefore less divine. Thou liest in Abraham's bosom all the year, and worships at the temple's inner shrine, God being with thee when we know it not. One last sonnet that I would definitely like to read before I give you the suggestions what to read is by Charles Lamb. So Charles Lamb lived from 1775 to 1834. He was an English poet, essayist, friend of, Samuel Coleridge and Wordsworth. The first line itself is so beautiful that you will be, delightfully astonished. A timid grace sits trembling in her eyes. A beautiful personification. I have never seen, such a beautiful personification. A timid grace sits trembling in her eyes, as loth to meet the rudeness of men's sight, yet shedding a delicious lunar light that steeps in kind oblivious ecstasy the care crazed mind, like some still melody, speaking most plain the thoughts which do possess. Her gentle sprite, peace and meek quietness, and innocent loves, and maiden purity, a look whereof might heal the cruel smart of unchanged friends or fortune's wrong unkind, might to sweet deeds of mercy move the heart of him who hates his brethren of mankind. Turned are those lights from me who fondly yet past joys, vain love, and buried hopes regret. Listen to this couplet once again. Turned are those lights from me who fondly yet past joys, vain loves, and buried hopes regret. So now some of the suggestions that you are supposed to read on your own if you are really interested in sonnet. Apart from the ones that I have recited, so these are some more suggestions. John Donne, Death Not Be Proud. Milton on his blindness. Wordsworth, The World is Too Much with Us. You can see it at my computer screen right now. Shelley, Ozymandias. Keats on First Looking into Chapman's Homer. E. Browning, How Do I Love Thee? Let Me Count the Ways. Frost, Acquainted with the Night. And last, Millay, Euclid alone has looked on beauty bare. So this is a treasure trove for poetry. Your first, introduction and your first, starting point of poetry should be sonnets. Sonnets. So guys, I hope you really enjoyed this video. At least I enjoyed making it the most. And please do let me know what else would you like to, see from me in the next episodes? Happy reading, guys. If you've still not liked, shared, and subscribed my YouTube channel, Arguably the Reading Quest, please do that, and please press the bell icon. Thank you so much.